Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for my first Stamp With Me session. We're going to create this Christmas card using the Welcome Christmas set from Stampin' Up. To save a little bit of time, what I've done is put the product listings and measurements. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the video description. If you're on my website, inkandinspirations.com, it will be in the blog post. So you can check that out if you need some reference. So what we're going to start with is the base, and I cut the piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in half and folded it, and we're going to crease it with the bone folder. Okay, and so then I told you you would need a piece of designer series paper, and I'm using the Holly Berry Bouquet from the Holiday Mini, and it's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And that's going to layer just like that. I'm going to set that aside now though, but I just wanted you to know where we were going with the layers. Okay, so next you needed a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock at 2.5 by 4, and we're going to use that to stamp our main image. And we're going to do some embossing, so we're going to need VersaMark. And I've got my little family image mounted on the, let's see, that's the D block. And I'm going to apply some VersaMark. And then I'm just going to stamp in the middle. And try to get a good impression. And there we go. And so the VersaMark stays a little wet for a while, so I don't have to rush and get my heat tool heated up right away. I'm going to kind of clear the area so I can get my white embossing powder. And let's just sprinkle some on. Okay, you can see that I have embossing powder where I don't want it. So this is when I take my little paintbrush, I think it's out of a watercolor kit actually, and just brush away what I don't need. And then I'm going to flick some off too. Okay, so just take your time and kind of get rid of what you don't want. Our embossing buddy has been, I don't know if the better word for it is recalled, and that's what's usually good to rub on your paper before you emboss so that the powder doesn't stick anywhere but on the stays on. And I think what happened here is I had VersaMark on my fingers. Whew. Okay, so that's going to be good. I'm going to move this out of the way so I don't blow the powder everywhere. Now we're going to get our heat tool, and I like to let mine heat up a little bit before I emboss. And we're just going to heat it up and melt that powder. Okay. Alright, set that aside, and that is going to be ready to go. Now you can see here that I have used another image from that set. That is the greeting. It says Season's Greetings, and I'm going to use a piece of Whisper White, and that's I believe it's 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. It's just big enough so we can stamp this image, and we're going to cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to use markers, and the corresponding colors that go with this paper is they are Wild Wasabi, Real Red, and Cherry Cobbler. Well, I've chose the Real Red and Wild Wasabi for this particular image. And what I'm going to do, and this is like a little shortcut, I'm going to do the whole image in the lighter color, which is the Wild Wasabi, and I'm coloring most of the image. I want most of that to remain. This is just kind of like a shortcut. Then I'm going to take my really red marker and go over the Season's Greetings only, and that's going to cover up that Wild Wasabi, and it makes it a little darker, kind of shades it a little darker, but it still looks good, and it's time saver. Like say if you wanted to make these for your holiday cards and send them out for Christmas, you could do this, and the way I would do this card is do it in steps, like If I knew I needed to make 25 cards, I would stamp this, do it 25 times, and go ahead and cut them out and have them ready. And cutting, really, if you have to do a ton of cards, is probably not the best idea. So you could do a greeting that you could punch out and use here. And doesn't have to be this greeting, it could be a different one. Or you could just use your large oval and punch part of it, not stamp the season's greetings, and just color the Welcome Christmas and stamp that and punch it out. Just lots of different options, but for today I want to cut it out because I really like the shape and look of this particular stamp. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a punch like this? Wow. And like I said, you know, if you just have a few cards to do, or if you do several different types of cards for Christmas, you could probably just, you know, sit down one day and stamp these and cut them all out and have them ready to go. Then the next day, maybe prepare your stamped image with the embossing powder and get that ready to go. So, you know, there are lots of ways to do it. Normally when I cut out an image, I usually leave a little edging of the white border around. But with this particular image, I've tried that and I just don't like it. It doesn't give it that clean, sharp line. And I'm not saying my cutting's not perfect, but I try to stay just on the edge of that wild wasabi on the curves. And you know, when you're cutting, you need to curve your paper and not move your scissors. Just like I'm doing here, I have my left hand moving the paper, and then I'm just slowly closing the blades on the scissors to cut. Okay? Now see, that didn't take too long. Okay? Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I wanted to soften up these edges because of the curves on this. So I'm going to take a corner rounder punch and just punch the corners. Okay, and that just, see, it just changes the whole look, makes it real, softens it up. Okay, so how I did this, how I assembled it, is I had these two pieces ready, and I want you to then get your ribbon, and I cut about 16 inches of ribbon, and I think I pre-cut it, but who knows where it is. Here it is. I cut about 16 inches because I wanted to have enough to tie a bow. And so I took my designer paper that's pre-cut and just going to go ahead and tie the ribbon around it. And tie a bow. And see, that really gives you plenty to work with. And I've showed you before, if you've watched my videos, you know I do bunny ears when I tie my bows. Okay, and then we just work with it and see how it's going to turn out. Okay, and the thing is, when you tie like I do, the bows never turn out the same. It drives me crazy, but it's okay. Makes it a unique bow and a unique card. See on this one, look, the bow's facing the other way. And I did bunny ears on that too. Who knows what I did. But I'm going to leave it like this. And I'm going to trim those edges just a little bit. Okay. And I don't have my glue dots out now, but I want to tell you that I usually like to put a glue dot right underneath the bow on the ribbon when I have it tied to just to secure it and keep it in place. Okay, so now I'm going to take my main image and use my Tombow Glue and apply to the back. What do you know, it came out the first time. I usually struggle. You know why? Because I leave the cap off my glue. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. So then I just kind of slip the edge of it under the bow a little bit. And just hold it up so I can see. Alright, do that. And then I'm going to get the Season's Greetings and use Tombow on it. And just apply it like that. Okay. Now, there's one more little step we're going to do, but I want to go ahead and attach it to the card base. And so I'm going to use Tombow there. And remember, when you're using this, don't get too close to the edges. Okay, and you can adjust. Okay, so that's turning out really cute. I'm not sure I'm liking the bow turned that way, but I'm going to leave it for now because it's okay. Alright, so now I'm going to use my Basic Jewels rhinestones. And what I do when I want a tiny rhinestone is these little strips that come all together. I've seen people use the whole strip on projects and it's beautiful, but you know, I like to get lots of little stones off of my little rhinestone pack. So I'm using this as the tree topper for the star, and that just puts a little bling to your card. And on the insides of my cards, what I usually do is I'll cut a piece of Whisper White and put it in there and maybe stamp a sentiment or maybe another image from this stamp set in the corner. So anyway, that's kind of an afterthought. I do that after I assemble all the cards. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed stamping with me. If you like this little session, let me know in the comment section and I'll do it again sometime. I hope you have fun creating cards this holiday season, and I will see you again next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.